and move into the Dutchess County LDC. Jasmine, would you please take a roll call vote to open the meeting? Here.
Mark Doyle.
Yeah.
Kathy Bauer. Here.
Here.
Deidre.
Okay, and once again, I just wanted to, on this agenda, introduce Tom McCount again. Tom will be joining the LDC board. He has been nominated and approved by the legislature, and once he does his oath of office and things like that, he will be a full member of the LDC board, but in the meantime, he's going to sit in with us today, just like he did with the LDC. Welcome, Tom. All right. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with anything that is on our agenda today? Okay, if for some reason during the meeting you do become aware of a conflict, please let us know and state your conflict, and then we will recuse you from that discussion. Sarah, proof of meeting notice has been posted?
Yes,
Okay. Are there any bills and communications?
we do.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Unusual.
Yes. So in your packet, you will see an engagement letter from Harris Beach Murtha. This is an engagement letter to act as bond counsel on a bond issue, tax exempt bond issuance for the culinary.
Okay.
The culinary is planning to come in front of the LDC to refund some previously issued LDC bonds at a future meeting. And Harris Beach has been identified as bond counsel for that project. Typically, in the past, the engagement letter has been with the project or the organization that is asking for the issuance. But Harris Beach has recently merged with another law firm, Murtha, and it is their practice to do the engagement letter with the issuing authority. But as we have done in the past, all the fees of bond counsel are the responsibility of the organization asking for the bond. So in this case, the culinary will continue to pay for bond counsel fees. And I know.
Yeah, I would only add that we don't have a single law firm that we use as bond counsel necessarily. We have some that were used often, and Harris Beach and Nixon are usually the two that we usually deal with. They're most familiar with what we do, and highly regarded. So whatever the arrangement is, as long as it's acceptable to the applicant, that's it. It looks fairly standard to us. There may be a few things that the applicant may want to discuss with them, but the only question they have is to make sure that the board will accept them. And that's usually done with the preliminary resolution where we then appoint bond counsel. So, but we haven't had any conference calls or application yet on this. We've just had indications that they want to move forward with the refunding, financing, the whole refunding bonds.
Okay, so we don't need to approve that or anything like that.
So I would like actually the board to approve it because this is something, not typical practice. So just
They've asked that we authorize Sarah to sign on behalf of the board to allow them to move forward with as bond counsel, but there are no application fees or anything that the board is responsible for.
Okay, so could I get a motion from someone to?
Just got a question. Should that motion have in it the statement that this is, we're passing the costs through to the client because otherwise it looks nominally that we will be accepting the responsibility of paying the fee.
I mean, the language right on the second page of this letter says the understanding is that the company, meaning CIA, is responsible for all fees and costs incurred in connection with the matter, and the CIA is countersigning the agreement. So it is laid out clearly in there that they're the ones responsible.
Yep, so I'm just
Does
wondering.
that satisfy your question, or do you still feel that you would like that?
I don't think it would do any harm, but I think it satisfies me, yes.
What's the motion? I mean, this is a firm that merged, we're hearing, with Mirtha, so that they're representing the CIA. And we haven't,
It would be for them to act as bond counsel and for Sarah to sign the engagement letter. We typically include language in the resolution where you're approving bond counsel for every particular transaction. And here, since they're asking this to be signed prior to any adoption of any
Okay.
resolution,
prior.
I want there to be some authorization for Sarah to be permitted to sign.
Understood.
Yeah.
Comfortable with that? Yep. Okay. So would somebody be willing to make a motion to authorize Sarah to execute this document?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Jasmine, will you please take a vote?
Jamie Falcone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approve.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Approved. Okay. Approval of minutes. There are minutes from the last meeting of February 12th in the packet. That's a meeting that Mark chaired for us. Are there any corrections or changes, modifications that need to be made to those minutes? Okay, hearing none, would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jasmine, would you please take a vote?
Jamie Falcone,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri.
Approve.
Kathy Bauer.
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, Jane, report of the treasurer.
Yes, looking at the balance sheet for February 28th, 2025, we have cash of 2.7 million. Down below, we have an accounts payable accrued payroll. The other liabilities, we still have accrued our audit, we haven't been billed yet. Looking at the P&L, we have 27,000 in revenue to a budget of 956,000. So far we're unfavorable by 929, sorry. Looking at the expenses, we have 245,000 to a budget of 1,393,000. So far we're favorable by 1,148,000. We have a net loss of 219,000 to a budgeted net loss of 438,000. So far, we're favorable by 219. Again, it's early. We're looking at a budget for the year and actual of 2 months.
Okay, again, this was just a report. We don't need to take any type of vote. Report of the committees, finance and audit, Kathy.
Yes. Okay, so we met again with our CPAs, RBT, with Shannon Manisi. On page 1, you'll see the independent auditors report. We, again, got a clean opinion, the best opinion that we can receive as an agency. On pages 4 and 5, there is just the summary of what we're going to be discussing. And if you turn over to page 7, for year ending 2024, we had cash and equivalents of 2.8 million. Our receivables and expenses were steady. And you'll see our service contract there of 130,000, leaving us with current assets of 2.9 million, down slightly from 2023 of 3.2 million. In here, under non-current assets, you will see our lease that we had to start showing on our returns of a balance of 492,000. There's a footnote further on that explains that year over year. So we have total assets of 3.5 million, which is down 354,000 from 2023, which ended at 3.8 million. Our current liabilities, we have 144,000, steady with 2023. And then we have our lease liability, which goes down slightly every year at 498,000. at the bottom, we have a total net position of 2.8 million, down 282,000 from the year before. On page 8, our operating revenues. We had administrative fees of 118,000. That was Bard College and Trinity Pauling. You'll see our service revenue of 712,000. That represents the contracts between primarily IDA and the LDC. That's in footnote 4 that we'll go over. And then we have all of our expenses. Everything is pretty steady. Payroll is up because we did hire a new employee during the year. Everything else year over year remains fairly steady. We had an operating loss before interest income of 384,000. Interest income again was up year over year due to the higher interest rates. So we had a net overall loss of 281,000 and ending net position of 2.8 million. Statement of cash flows. The next several pages are notes. On page 13, you'll see the lease liability for the next several years spelled out with principal and interest. Even though it's a lease, we still have to treat it almost like it's a loan. We use an interest rate of 4.44%. You'll see underneath that in note 4, our service contracts between the county and the IDA. So that's our total contracts for 2024 of 712,000. Note 5 is our conduit debt. For year ending 2024, we had 1,471,000 in conduit debt out there. The next several pages.
Quick question.
Yes.
On the professional services contract.
Yes.
Just the difference between the 150,000 and 200,000
Yes.
for Dutchess County IDA. Do you just want to just briefly mention what that difference was?
Between the 150 and the 200.
Yeah.
So it was the IDA's share of hiring a compliance person that would be shared, that employee would be shared between the IDA and LDC. So
Thank you.
Okay. And then on pages 15 through 17 are our projects listed out. And then after that, we have our auditors on page 20 had no internal control findings, no compliance findings. They did make a recommendation again that we enact a cybersecurity policy. And once again, I want to thank Jane for all her hard work with the agency. No errors were found. All those entries, debits and credits were correct throughout the entire year.
Jane, I'd like to also acknowledge, thank you for your hard work. Pleasure to have you keeping an eye on things. Okay, does anybody else have any questions about the audit? Would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve the audit?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Jamie. Could I get a second?
Oh, you go ahead. You're good.
I'll second.
Okay, Kathy. Jasmine, will you please take a vote on that?
Jan Picone,
Approve.
Amy Bondieri.
Approved.
Kathy Bauer.
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved.
Cindy Miller.
Approved. There we go. Okay, unfinished business.
None.
Okay, new business, consideration and approval of a preliminary inducement resolution for the issuance of the LDC's tax exempt refunding bonds, Marist University. Sarah, do you want to kick that off?
Sure. So we have joining us Beth Veazey, the CFO from Marist College this morning. But this is an inducement resolution. Marist University would like the LDC's assistance to issue a bond to refund or refinance previously issued LDC bonds, in particular 2015A. That bond was originally used to finance the construction of the Allied Health building, as well as 2 residence halls. So Beth, I'm going to have you fill in the details.
Sure. So thank you. And First off, I guess I need to somehow figure out how to change my sign-in so that it says Marist University. This, as
There we
you may
go.
be aware, we recently became a university officially, and this will be our first bond issue, assuming the market can cooperates as Marist University. So very exciting. Yes, we are seeking approval to refinance the Series 2015 bonds, which, as Sarah mentioned, originally financed the Allied Health Building, which is on the east side of our campus and houses our undergraduate biology programs, as well as our doctorate of physical therapy and master's of physician assistant studies programs. And then the original bond proceeds also financed construction of a portion of the construction of the North Campus residence halls, which are primarily upper class housing opportunities for our undergraduate students, suite style and apartment style residences, very popular with our students. We're seeking this refinancing opportunity, assuming the market cooperates, for economic savings. So the bonds are coming up to their 10-year par call, and it's an opportunity to refinance in the market to generate present value cash savings and present value savings as well as annual cash flow savings. So at least in the most recent numbers that I had received from our financial advisor, we had been looking at approximately $5 million in present value savings, or about $400,000 annual cash flow savings, which is obviously a benefit to the university in terms of providing some additional relief within our budget and allowing then more room for mission critical activities that we may want to pursue. The market is obviously a bit volatile, so we will continue to monitor the opportunity, but we did want to be ready to go into the market if the savings opportunities present themselves.
Does anybody have any other questions about this resolution?
Do you mind if I make a comment?
Sure.
For those of you who are not aware, the Local Development Corporation, the mechanism for exempt bond financing is one that will obviously benefit the institution. It's a great tool that we have, but Marist and others who use this mechanism have other options. And we appreciate using the LDC on behalf of the county. It not only benefits the institution, but the fee revenue that does come from some of these projects, when there is one, benefits and supports the tourism and economic development programs that we have. So most businesses that come before the IDA don't have a choice for incentives. There's only one, but you do have a choice of where you use exempt bond financing mechanisms. And so we appreciate Marist using the LDC again.
Well, thank you. And we always find working with Sarah and team very efficient, seamless, and it's certainly our issuing authority of choice.
Great. Okay. Any questions? Would somebody be willing to? Oh, I'm sorry.
I would just point out one thing. As we spoke before about an LDC bond council, paragraph 5 of the inducement resolution is the typical resolution, and this appoints Nixon Peabody as bond counsel for the transaction. So that's what we usually do. That just points up the aberration.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Is somebody willing to make a motion on this preliminary inducement resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Amy. Somebody be willing to make a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Jasmine, will you please take a vote?
Jane Picon,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mike Doyle,
Approved.
Cindy.
Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck with the market.
Great, thank you.
Okay, let's see. Spot here. Okay, our next discussion is consideration and approval of marketing firm.
Yeah, so in your packet is a colorful grid, and I apologize for how small it came out. I didn't realize it was not this tiny. But we at the end of last year, we sent out an RFP to select a marketing firm for the next 3 years. we sent the RFP through the county's BidNet program. We received 11 responses. Of the 11, we selected, and these responses came from all over the country. And then of the 11, we selected, we narrowed it down to 4, and the 4 you have in front of you is DCI, who was our current acting marketing firm that we've been working with for the past 9 years. Creative Engagement Solutions, CES, Group Gordon, and Go Gladys. We met with all 4 firms. We talked about the marketing plans, what they could do for us, and just general working sense. And in the end, we selected Group Gordon as the marketing firm to work with for the next 3 years. A few factors contributed to that. One of the biggest ones is that they were our lowest amount at about 108,000 annually. We were paying about 206,000 with DCI. So this is almost half of what DCI was charging. CES and Go Gladys were similar in price. One of the reasons why Group Gordon is so much lower than the other 3 is Group Gordon does not have an in-house art department. And so therefore, any kind of design services that we would need, we would have to go outside of Group Gordon to use. But we felt that even with the amount of design services that we would require for the next couple years, would still make it, economical compared to the other 3 that had in-house design services. So with that, I am asking the boards if any questions.
Yes, did we change the scope of our RFP in any significant way from the last time that we did this?
So we did not, because the elements of the RFP and what we are looking for in a marketing firm is very similar. I think what changes year to year is how much of a focus that we are going to put on those areas. So the big buckets of areas that we ask for marketing is content creation for our social media. Mm-hmm. It is pitching stories in earned media. It is marketing to site selectors. Mm-hmm. And it is also marketing to the internal population. So those are the 4 big buckets.
Who do you define as internal population?
That would be the Dutchess County and or the regional market.
Okay. Okay, other questions?
Sure. So you mentioned content. I'm not seeing that on the list. Are they going to create the content? Because I don't understand the differentiation between artwork and.
Oh yeah. So artwork.
Content.
Yeah. So artwork would be like our banners here, our materials that we bring to trade shows, brochures. Ads that we place in magazines. So that's that's the artwork. Right. Digital content, and also for press releases and our newsletters, they're writing the text.
So they are responsible for that.
Yes. So, but I will also say that we will still do, and we have done, and we will continue to do, is we supplement some of that work. So Amanda, who is our marketing coordinator, for example, right now we are doing, for Women's History Month, we are doing a social media campaign where we highlight women-owned businesses in Dutchess County. That is an internal campaign that Amanda has created. The content is posted on our social media. The other content that is currently out there that was created by DCI highlights our businesses and any announcements that we may have. For example, yesterday, the Secretary of State was in Poughkeepsie to announce He made a mistake and he called Poughkeepsie Peekskill, but we'll overlook that. But he was in Poughkeepsie to announce that the city of Poughkeepsie had won the DRI grant. DRI is the Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant. It's a $10 million grant. So we will be, promoting that on our social media, and then we'll be looking for the marketing firm to create that content or the. For that.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, so when we need the things that are we gonna have to contract for that, or will this firm be?
This firm will contract.
And do we have to do an RFP on each of those as they
No.
occur?
No.
Why is that?
It's part of our contract that they will procure upon our approval, the art firm. So one of the things that we will do as part of our contract is to encourage them to use local design firms to provide the design for that. But they need to get our approval for us of the art firm before they go out and do it, so that we know that it's within our budget and costs, and they just can't.
Okay, and do you have any estimate of what portion of our prior expenses were for art? I mean, is it possible to understand that, or?
We do have some, I think we can. I think because they send us receipts when they do the artwork. I would say it was probably around, depending on what we did.
Yeah.
So depending on what we did, it would be anywhere between 10,000 to 40,000. Like if we did a magazine, that was a little bit higher.
But, I mean, there's $100,000 difference and so I'm assuming that you must speculate that our costs for artwork are significantly below that difference.
Yeah, so yes, so I think I feel they're still doing a discovery, and so we're gonna do a plan of what we'll need. But in my head, we're looking at probably around $30,000 worth of artwork
Per year.
per year.
And this is a per year contract cost?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any loss of, is there increased work for the staff because of this change?
No, we don't believe there'll be any increase or increase in workload for the internal staff with Group Gordon. If anything, the increase would just be, when it's time to do artwork, looking at, the bids that they receive and selecting the person to do artwork. So, but we don't see any significant increase in workload.
And then they have prior experience in this type of work?
Yes, so they have worked with other organizations on economic development work. So that was one of their advantages versus one of the firms did not. All the principals graduate from Vassar College. So they are familiar with the area. They are based in New York City, but they are familiar with the Hudson Valley and with Dutchess County. So, yeah.
Do you think that we should have as part of the resolution or whatever, a budget for artwork so that there's some component that balances the totality of this?
I would say I would be hesitant on that only because we don't know what projects may come up. And as long as we stay within our overall budget that the board approves.
I would say, we have the budget, it's approved, so I would say as long as we're within those guidelines, we should be fine.
Okay.
Ron?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Sarah and I have been working closely with some of the members of the Alliance, which include the community college and the chamber and organizations that have individuals in-house that do artwork. So a lot of the marketing will be in collaboration with them, where we'll be obtaining and using their artwork for promotional purposes, as well as the businesses that we work with. We source logos and imagery from them. I'll also say, this is kind of, don't laugh too hard about this, but the county bought me a subscription to InDesign Creative Suite last year, I've been learning in my own free time in design because I'm a control freak. Sarah knows this from the last time we did marketing, so it's just easier for me to do it myself. But I'll actually be contributing personally to it too, in terms of things like the updated magazine. So there's lots of places to source artwork from. So my personal opinion outside of what Sarah's doing is that we shouldn't see an impact. We'll be sourcing a lot of things from others.
Sure. And so since we already have the budget for DCI type of expenses,
Yeah.
next year we may actually be able to reduce our budgeted amount that maybe put it in different buckets. Okay, any other questions about this? Okay, so Sarah, you are looking for approval to enter into an agreement with the marketing firm? Is that what you're
Yes,
looking for?
yes.
Okay. When would this contract start?
It will start effective March 1st. So it already
Okay.
kind of effectively kind of started, but officially recognizing them on March, as of today.
Okay, would somebody be willing to authorize Sarah to
I'll make that
execute that
motion.
contract? Okay, could I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jamie. Yasmin, would you please take a vote?
Jane Picon,
Approve.
Amy Bondieri,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Cindy.
Approved. It's always great to see a potential reduction in cost. Plus, the other nice thing is to hopefully see more of the spending of money within our county. All right, Paris reports. Sarah.
Okay, so, first up is the annual report, similar to the IDA annual report. It is asking the first couple questions at pages, asks us if certain policies are posted on our website. So you will see on the first and second page, the links to those policies that we are required to have. Pages 3 through 6 are the board information. You will see, different from the IDA, that you will see term limits on there. So you'll see, because on the LDC side, the legislature does set term limits, and so they are responsible for renewing the terms. But there are 2 board members who are up for term renewal this year. And that would be Kathy Bauer and
Jamie.
Jamie.
It also shows
Why is
Deirdre. too.
Deirdre, but
That
she
should
just
be-
joined.
It was,
Is that date wrong?
Did she fill a vacancy?
Yeah, so she's filled Ron Sagliano's vacancy.
Oh, okay.
So the 3 of them are up for renewal. I will also like to point out that if the legislature does not approve the term in a timely manner, you serve at the pleasure of the authority. So,
Okay. What else have you got?
okay, so moving on, also different from the IDA report is on page 7, you will see the staff and our salary and benefits. It is because the IDA contracts with the LDC for administrative services. So the IDA technically has no employees, whereas the LDC has the employees. Page 8 is basically asks if the volunteer board receives any services or payment or benefits for serving. The answer is no. The LDC has no subsidiaries. The next few pages, 19 through 10 through 12 is our financial statement, which align with the audited financial statements that were presented earlier. Page 13 is the new bond issuances issued in 2024 that includes BARD for the Performing Arts Center and the reissuance of the Trinity Pauling bond. Page 14 is just a summary of the conduit debt that the LDC has. the LDC does not own any real property or personal property, so those reports are blank. We did not issue any loans and grants, so on page 18 and 19, those reports are blank. And then I'm starting on page 20 through 34 is just a detailed summary. I guess it's an oxymoron, detailed summary of our projects, that we have.
Okay. All right, and then,
Okay. And then moving on, we have the investment report. Again, Paris does not allow us to fill it out until we upload everything. So this is the handwritten answers that will appear. The procurement report is, again, we have to report all our spending over $5,000. So you will see Acrosoft, which is our website company, Blue Dot, which is our CRM, CoStar, which is our real estate database, DCI, which is our marketing firm, Economic Impact Catalyst, that is a portal that we have for entrepreneurs and.
just to interrupt you for a second, just looking at DCI, it says 223.
Yes, so that's also so there is, part of the contract is their monthly retainer and then extra services like artwork.
Oh, I thought the
above, yeah.
artwork was included.
No, so that goes above.
Oh.
So, and then also if we didn't do it last year, but we did it the year before, we would, if we had to pay to boost our ads and so that's an added cost. Also, any ads that we pay for that they may, do for us.
So we could expect there may be some things like that with the new firm as well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. So CoStar, DCI, then we have EIC, which is our entrepreneur portal to provide online services for our entrepreneurs. Economic modeling, which is a database, a data analytics program that we use for business attraction and business retention. It helps us compare to our neighboring communities when we do business attraction. Group C Media is a magazine that we advertised in, so the cost to we had two advertorials, so that's a little higher. Guardian Self-Storage, that one is our storage space. J6 Entertainment is the videographer that we do for our VEAs. Loki Brill, our local workforce company. New York State EDC, which is the trade organization in which the IDA and LDC are members of. That membership is paid through the LDC. It also includes some sponsorship that we did with the event. Prime Storage is our rent for this space here. PCA, or Professional Computer Associates, is our IT company. RBT is our accountant. Siena College. So Siena College we did a business service survey last year. So that was payment to that business survey. Staffline is our PEO, our professional employment organization that helps us with our HR. The Culinary Institute of America, that is what we paid to hold our BEA event there. The Hudson Valley Center for Innovation, that is a company that we worked with to provide a webinar and technical assistance under the we used ARPA funds for them. That was support for our entrepreneurs. Travelers is our insurance. And the Women's Enterprise Development Center, or WEDC, and also we contract with them to provide technical assistance and webinars and seminars for our local entrepreneurs. Any questions on the procurement report? And then the final report is our certified financial audit, which will be uploaded. Again, doesn't allow us to do the report without audited financials.
Okay, anybody have any questions about the Harris reports? Would somebody be willing to make the motion to approve the Harris reports?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Amy. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Jasmine, will you please take the vote on that?
Jane Picon,
Approved.
Amy Bonadiri.
Approved.
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, and as in our prior meeting, our recommendation by our auditors was to have a cybersecurity breach policy, and as discussed, we do not, well, I'll let Sarah.
Okay. So as discussed, at the IDA meeting, the LDC does not typically collect the data that is stated under the Internet Security Privacy Act, Section 208. But in the event that we do, and we realize that there is a security breach, that we would follow the protocol that is stated under the New York State Department of State notification process.
Okay, would somebody be willing to make a motion for us to adopt?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jamie. Second, please. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Kathy. Jasmine.
Jane Picon,
Approved.
Amy Bonadiri. Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. Okay, what I would like to do is I would like to call an executive session to discuss a personnel issue. And so I would like to have a vote to adjourn our regular board meeting for that. I do anticipate, I'm going to estimate that that meeting could last no more than 15 minutes, and then we will reconvene our meeting of the LDC, if that's okay with somebody. So could I get a motion? And by the way, I would like to, if it's okay with the board, I would like to ask Sarah to remain for the executive session to discuss personnel matter. So would somebody be willing to make a motion
I'll make that
to
motion.
enter into executive session?
To enter into executive session.
Okay,
Second.
Jamie? Okay, Jasmine, just a quick vote on that.
Jane Picon,
Approved.
Amy Bonadiri.
Approved.
Kathy Bauer.
Approved.
Mark Doyle.
Approved.
Tim Dean.
Approved. So as I mentioned, I don't think it will take more than 15 minutes, and we will reconvene during that meeting and reconvene our LDC meeting at that time. So I would like to reconvene the Dutchess County LDC meeting after our executive session to discuss a personnel matter. And after that meeting, it is with some regret, but also happiness that I announce that Sarah will be leaving us. She has submitted her resignation to pursue another opportunity, which while we're sad to lose Sarah, we also understand that sometimes people have offers they can't refuse. And so we will be creating a process after we do a little bit of research and make sure that we have an up-to-date job description and responsibilities for a potential new person to replace Sarah. So we are not going to do a search immediately. We're going to take a little bit of time. Sarah has offered to remain in her position through the end of March, which we're grateful for, and will try and help us in between new responsibilities that she takes on to make sure that we transition well. So Sarah, would you like to make any comments?
So, as Tim mentioned, I will be moving on. I will be joining Hudson Valley Economic Development Corporation. And it was a difficult decision because I really, love working with the board and the staff here and the businesses I've come across. And I feel like the work that I've done here has been very impactful for Dutchess County. And so I'm going to greatly miss that, and and the people in particular is what I'm going to miss. But I'm not disappearing. Hudson Valley, as the name of the organization implies, it is a regional organization. I will be working with not one county, but 6 counties. And so you may see me at a meeting or two, at the very least, probably at community events. So, but I thank you for the board and Don and Liz and the staff for all the support and guidance that you've provided me over the years.
And I just want to say you leave us in very good standing, and what you have done to help this organization grow over your term has been great for us, and we will miss you, and we wish you the best success in your new position. So more to come as we look into things, and again, we're not going to immediately institute a director's search. We are going to try and operate on an interim basis in some fashion while we figure out what we're going to do. But again, thank you, Sarah, and we appreciate your helping us through this transition. Is there anything else? Okay, I would like to adjourn the Dutchess County LDC meeting. Thank you all for attending.